We are making a grave mistake in supposing that consciousness or mind is the product of our brain. That is at the root of the present disaster. Consciousness or mind is an energy by itself. It is an independently existing universe. It is a self sustaining ocean from which a drop filters into our mind. Our mind, our neurons, our nervous system, they are just the parts of a computer worked by this energy. The moment we come to realize this, we can make experiments to prove it. And that is what I mean when I say that we must have some experimental centers to experiment on Kundalini.
Now you brought in a new word here that I haven't heard before. Kundalini. That seems to be Indian. I do not understand it.
Yeah. Well, Kundalini in the Indian tradition means a reservoir of psychic power in the human body which can be aroused to activity by certain disciplines, as for instance, yoga. Kundalini is said to be the basis for illumination, for genius, for miraculous powers, and for all faculties and possibilities latent in the human mind.
And I assume that Kundalini is a very old finding. It's not something that has surfaced.
It is as old as pre-dynastic Egypt. That means more than 5,000 years before the birth of Christ.
And it has been recorded in the old scriptures.
Hundreds and thousands of books. It is recorded in Chinese books, it is recorded in Egyptian hieroglyphs, it is recorded in the Tantras, it is recorded in the Shakti Shastra. There are thousands of books on it in India dating from prehistoric times.
And Kundalini is a biological force in man.
That is what
Kundalini, what you're referring to in this biological
basis of religion and genius. Science has no awareness of the evolutionary mechanism in man. They believe evolution has occurred through random mutations, which is disputed very hot. But the actual fact is that there is a mechanism, and this mechanism is known as Kundalini. And this mechanism can be accelerated through the discipline of yoga or other religious exercises. And when it is accelerated, one can in one life attain to the same state of expanded consciousness as would otherwise be attained in many incarnations and lives.
And this is what you did as a young man, you actively pursuing, and you managed to awaken the Kundalini.
It aroused not only because of my efforts, but most probably because my nervous system and my brain were mature for this awakening. I had it through heredity in my own system.
Now, wouldn't this be something that would be of great importance if we could have decision makers and world leaders to become exposed to this Kundalini so that they in their mind could understand more how everything fits together?
It is of the utmost importance. If we study Plato deeply, especially his Republic, he is referring to this type of man as a philosopher who should be the highest ruler in the state. It is this type of man who is discussed in the Upanishads. The man who is illuminated, who has risen above normal temptations, he alone should be entrusted with the responsibilities of rulership.
If this could be done, then maybe we would obtain peace and harmony and happiness here on earth.
It has to be done. It is not only a question that it could be done. We have now gained control over the most terrible power in the universe, the power of the atom. Unless mankind has sober, patient, selfless human beings at the top in every sphere of activity and thought to control the passions and the ambitions in others, there is no possibility of human survival in the next 50 or 100 years.
Don't you find it strange that mankind has been ignoring or suppressing this profound knowledge instead of using it? Why are we not using it?
Dear Mr. Nobel, it is a matter of great pain for me. For the past thousands of years, in the Grecian times, among Romans, among Egyptians, among Indians, among Chinese, everywhere, the greatest thinkers have been believers. They have written profound systems of philosophy, the most profound systems even today. But all of a sudden, the scientists appearing in the 18th and 19th century treat this whole mass as myth and superstition without ever experimenting on it.
So what we indeed should do,
We have to reverse the trend. We have to make a thorough study of the religious literature of the world.
on a scientific level,
On a scientific level, we have to see the points of resemblance. We have to see where they refer to the occult disciplines. We have to see what is the state of illumination. We have to see what has been the experience of the mystics. We have to gather all this data, and then we have to make experiments on volunteer subjects for the arousal of this power. I am as sure as that the sun is shining before me, that this would be proved and established in the course of the next 20 years. If we were to make the right effort.
would you accept an invitation?
I have already accepted an invitation from the professors of the Duke University. In fact, I will try my utmost to guide them, to give them the particular areas, the symptoms and the signs by which they can see the difference that occurs on the awakening of this power.
Well, that's very encouraging to hear that, because I would say that maybe some people or prophets who were not genuine, they would shun away from an invitation of that nature. And I also see, much to my great delight, that in your book, The Biological Basis of Religion and Genius, the introduction is written by an eminent scientist who is a director of the Max Planck Institute in Munich, Freiherr von Weizsäcker. Now, something that I'm a little confused by is the fact that you can write such beautiful verse, such beautiful lyrics, and English is not your native tongue, but you write better lyrics than many natives. And is that again by inspiration?
You see, what I am trying to express needs a deep study. It is a profound subject. I must tell you, Mr. Nobel, without arrogating any importance to myself, in a humble way, just as a statement of fact, that I am a living witness to the truth of religion. I am a finished specimen of the class which has been known as mystics. I am a living model of transformed consciousness. I am a living testimony to the correctness of the occult and esoteric doctrines of the world. I embody in myself all that has been said by the great religious teachers of the past, of whom the recent examples have been Ramakrishna or Maharishi Rama. It is a rare class.